past, fatal heart impact, past painful scars. In fact, I blast tasteful bars and pass. I back up my actions, fact don't ask, grab reactions, jacked attack with every word, then act with class as they hear me snap. I got nothing to lose, cause I fought and felt the bruise. Now I'm not the one confused, call the shots and they produce. I ain't lost, I'm finally loose, pick a new silver excuse. I need the views to boost me to a new abuse of being used. Everybody wants a piece now, y'all can rest in peace now. You're dead to me, so peace out. Remember you're discreet now, get ready for defeat now.
Alrighty. Hello everybody. This is Kiru's show here. And now. Surprise! It has been 2 months since I've done a part to this series. Now, I was actually going to upload something different, but I'm having a bit of trouble figuring out certain things within the timeline. And I did want to get you guys a video. So I've been looking into different videos that I left off on and wanting to see if I can add another part onto them. I was going to look into the Black Widow series tomorrow, but I do believe I have a good enough understanding on where I left off of this story. So, if I fuck up, please be aware. It has been over 2 months. Now, bear with me on this. We do have Deku Todoroki and Shoto Todoroki. They have already taken the entrance exam and basically revealed their identities. Now, along with that, you do have, well, Denki, or the female Denki. She has tried to use One for All. Along with that, she's also gotten a better grasp on her own quirk. Now, she can use One for All at higher degrees, but All Might has tried to inform her to stay at a low level, and that she needs to start training a bit more intensely. Now, we will pick up roughly around 1 week later, where instead of being at the beach, they are all hanging out at Momo's family house. Within the gym, Deku and Todoroki actually bring their hands up as they are both trying to talk shit to each other. Deku, as he's moving around, telling Todoroki, "Oh, come on, man. I definitely scored higher points than you." "Oh, I doubt it," he says, telling his brother that if he scored higher points, then let's make a bit of a bet. "Oh, really?" he says, both these two trying to rush at each other and try and hit each other. Now, while that is going on, Momo is currently at least spotting Denki, as she is lifting some weight. Her watching the fight as Midori and Todoroki, or Izuku, he and his brother do go back and forth a bit, trying to grapple one another. Todoroki being able to try and put Midori in a headlock, as Midoriya does actually spin his wrist and release his quirk, sending a large gust of wind throughout the gym as both these two go flying up into the air. Todoroki losing his grip on his brother as Midori just spins his wrist and lets out another large gust, both of these two spinning in a circle. Todoroki eventually losing his footing, or his hold on his brother, as he lets go and gets sent flying away. As soon as that does happen, he immediately throws his hand up behind him and releases ice. Now, as soon as he did throw his hand up behind him, he released a large amount of ice blasting behind him, as he did smash onto it and go rolling onto the ground. Meanwhile, Midoriya, who's standing there, does at least have his hands somewhat almost balanced, along with a steady stream of air coming out of both his hands and his feet. Okay, this is harder than I thought. Todoroki looking at his brother. That was cheating, he says, not moving. As Denki does set down the weights, Momo actually does run over. Shoto, are you okay? I think I'll be fine. Ironically, I think I just need to ice it. Her actually holding up his head and asking if he's hurt. Before she creates a small flashlight and asks Todoroki to simply just open his eyes for her, checking to see if his pupils are dilated and if he does have a concussion. Now, after Midoriya does try and land while disabling his quirk, he does somewhat fall, but he also does walk over and ask his brother if he's going to be fine. Well, I believe he'll be fine, but that was a bit too much, don't you think? Not really. I mean, I didn't expect him to go flying out of the ring, actually. Oh, so you didn't think about it? Yeah. Now, Denki actually does say a little bit that it was somewhat funny. Now, Todoroki actually does try and laugh through the pain a little bit, saying that, yeah, it was, but next time he's just going to turn his brother into a popsicle. Now, with that being said, the rest of time does pass. Midoriya and Todoroki, both of them do get their envelopes, and they are sitting on the couch as Endeavor is standing there. Him actually somewhat a bit nervous. Now, well, what was her name? No, I don't think... Was Todoroki's mother's name Rei? Rei Todoroki? Okay, I would need to look into that. Anyways, now. Basically, she does try and calm Endeavor down and state that Dabi, or Toya, he was able to get into UA, and he only had a fire quirk. Both of these two have 2 quirks, so just think of it as doubling their chances. Now, Midoriya and his brother, as soon as they both rip open the envelopes, they do see the results, as discs do fall out of both of their envelopes. Midoriya and Todoroki picking both of theirs up as Midoriya plays his first. Now, All Might disappear. I am here. Why hello, young Izuku. Todoroki. Well, actually I don't know which one to use. Him asking the guy off camera exactly what should he use. The first names or the last name, because he does have to record 2 of these. The guy hushing All Might and saying just use the first name. Alright, you don't have to be so rude about it. Anyways. Hello, young Izuku. I do see that you have scored quite a number of points. In fact, it does seem like you did beat my record. Now, you did a fairly good job during the entrance exam, along with you helping out with that one girl, taking on the assistance of a fellow student, or possible student, I will say. Now, All Might does follow the script, going on to state that he got exactly this amount of points. That was his villain points. And for his hero points, he got a total of 60. Now, this is actually a very good assessment. All Might saying that he was able to get rid of the rubble and everything covering the student. Then there was the fact that the other student did try and intervene and help him out. Then, whenever he thought the coast was clear, the student was able to escape. Whenever it was not, well, whenever it turned out that the robot was still moving or active, you did try and stop an oncoming attack rather than try to go on the offensive. Now, yada yada yada, all this stuff happens, and Midoriya, he has basically a score that outnumbers All Might's, along with an additional 50 points. Then there is Todoroki. Now, for Todoroki's score, he gets a little bit higher than in canon. Or I don't believe he did go through the robot test, even through the... I don't believe that the, what was it? Recommendations had I don't believe that the internships had the robot test. So let's just say he gets around his brother's score. Record breaking 2, but without the hero points, no luck. Midoriya, or Izuku, proudly standing up and saying, "Yes! He did it! He won! I told you I was gonna win, bro." Dang it. Well, I mean, hero points or not. It was pretty interesting. But know this, he says. If they ever do face off again in UA, then don't expect them to go so easy. You two really should save that for when the sports festival comes up. What are you talking about, Dad? Listen, you two. Whenever you are in UA, do remember that there will be sports festivals. Don't you remember the video you saw? Oh yeah, you against All Might. Yes. And every year he managed to beat me. I'm still annoyed about that, but still. Remember, if both of you do face off, or if one of you loses before the finals, then your failure might be remembered to history. Even then, as long as you are one of the students to get in the finals, you will be remembered. Both these two sort of confused. Todoroki's mother, or their mother, going on to state that what he's trying to say is, it doesn't matter how well you do, people will still recognize you. Dad, why don't you just say that? Him, sort of flaming, with a little bit of anger. Now, whenever they do head to UA on the first day, they are seen as quite popular, literally being dropped off in limousines. Now, these two do arrive and walk in, as eventually more students do begin to show up. Todoroki saying hi to Momo, as they do begin to wait in class. Eventually, Ida does come in fast walking, seeing the guy that can fly, and beginning to ask him a question. You, I would like to know exactly what your quirk is. Okay. Why do you want to know so bad? During the entrance exam, you were weird. That's not really a good way to phrase it. Well, listen. Your movements were odd. You were doing weird things with your hands, and you can manipulate Earth. Oh, okay. So, basically I have two quirks. I can manipulate the air, or basically wind pressure, and then I can manipulate Earth. Two quirks? Yeah. But don't worry about it. In fact, my brother over there has two quirks too. Ida turning his head. Todoroki simply just holding up one of his hands, and ice does begin to somewhat pour out of it, then holding up his other hand, before the two do switch off, the ice melting on both. Now, with that being said, Ida is actually sort of intrigued, as more and more people do show up, and eventually Denki does walk in, greeting Midoriya and actually saying that she's really glad that he got in here. Hey, so what did you score? Oh, me. Well, with how I was able to throw the robots around and use, well, that ability, I feel like I got pretty good, but I do still need to keep up my training. Hmm. Okay. But, what do you think is going to happen today then? Hmm? Oh, I don't know. We're supposed to go to that assembly today, right? I think so. Now, Aizawa, he does appear, informing everyone that they are all late. They're too busy talking and they need to sit down. Before he does walk up to the podium and go on stating that they all need to be ready for today. Now, he then does inform them that they are going to be doing a quirk apprehension test and to go towards the gym or to the locker rooms, then head outside. Ida bringing up that they need to go to the assembly. Aizawa brushing it off and saying that he can teach his class however he wants to. If he doesn't like it, leave. Somebody from 1B can take his place. Ida quickly shutting up. Now, as that does happen, he actually does look towards Izuku and Todoroki, along with this other girl. Apparently, she does have 2 quirks also. At least that's what he read on the paperwork for his class. Now, with that, I do want to say they all do go out and get changed. Mineta trying to perv on the girls. However, this time whenever he does go to stick his eye through the hole, not only do Midoriya and Todoroki try and stop him, as soon as the two do show up behind him, Midoriya with levitating rock spikes, and Todoroki with flames in both of his hands, he looks through. Before he can even register anything, a large voltage of electricity does actually come through the hole and shock Mineta, him almost being fried. Before he does back up, him trying to get a word out as he does fall over. Midoriya simply just saying, "Did they get him?" No. Or no, Midoriya doesn't say that. Somebody, let's say Jiro, does actually ask that question. Did they get him? Midoriya simply just bringing his hand up in front of the hole, somewhat putting it outwards before at least bringing up a thumbs up, saying, "Yeah, they got him." Before Todoroki, with his ice, does actually put his hand over it and seal it over. Now, they do get changed. And this is whenever the quirk test does begin. Now, I don't really believe I would need to explain it. People do a whole lot better. Midoriya and Todoroki would perform extremely well, along with Momo in deciding to use her quirk for, I want to say, a little bit more versatility. In fact, one thing that she did decide to do was think outside the box. Midoriya and Todoroki, their race is up first. They are against Bakugo. And the race does actually begin. As soon as it does, Midoriya, he does actually have the earth underneath his feet, push backwards, and actually somewhat move differently. Then watching as soon as Bakugo does blast off, Todoroki immediately shoots past them. Midoriya being pulled backwards as the ground is actually morph up, before Midoriya pushes off and the rocks fly forwards, launching him outwards. Midoriya with high wind pressure, pushing him straight to the finish line. Him zooming past Bakugo and his brother. Now, Midoriya finishes the 50-meter dash, and I want to say, I believe Bakugo was a 4, 7 seconds, I want to say. Let's say he finishes it in 3 to almost 2. Now, with that, Midoriya did actually go tumbling and rolling before he did actually just get back up and somewhat get on his feet, trying to shake it off, as he does actually say, "How's his time?" Aizawa actually somewhat impressed. Todoroki saying he's guessing it was pretty good. He was first across. Bakugo actually getting pretty annoyed. What the hell was that? He demands a redo. No, Bakugo. Whatever. Now, Bakugo basically gets outperformed by either Deku and Todoroki, and in some parts of it, he actually does fall behind Momo. Whenever she was actually up for the 50-meter dash, she did somewhat copy Midoriya, deciding to, as soon as she did actually go to step off, have a large pole come out of one of her feet, and somewhat boost her forwards. Now, she basically launched off with her left foot with a pole as she kept creating it. As soon as it did begin to bend over, or at least basically almost shatter or break from the weight, and with the fact that she didn't create it to be a thick piece of metal, she goes sliding onto her right leg as she creates a rollerblade, and is able to get across almost instantly. Now, there's also Denki, who she does use one for all. She does seem a bit more fast whenever she did use her quirk, and Aizawa was somewhat impressed. But I do want to say that with his years of experience as a pro hero, he would be able to determine that electricity was different from her lightning. Now, with that being said, this is how the current rankings would be. Midoriya and Todoroki do fight for the top spots. In some categories, they do outshine everyone else. However, there is the ball throw. As soon as it's Midoriya's turn to shine, he does one simple thing. He brings up his hands, and he actually does begin to spin them around into a giant cyclone. As soon as Midoriya does do that, he begins to narrow his hands a bit more, as this giant tornado in front of him gets a bit smaller and smaller, before he actually does create a ball on top of it. As soon as he does that, he immediately bends down and grabs the ball as it begins to spin around inside. As soon as he does, he brings his hand up and immediately begins to try and push down on this giant cyclone, before quickly moving his hand out of the way before just simply launching it up into the air. As soon as he does, you do watch as the wind pressure of it, the ball spinning, and this giant shot basically acts like a 100% flick, and the ball gets sent flying away. As soon as that does happen, Midoriya immediately just brings back his hands and pushes out with all of his might with wind pressure. He may not hit the ball, but it is at least worth a decent try. And Aizawa does actually clock him in at over, let's see, 1500? 1600 probably? Anyways, now, he does actually notice that Denki is holding back, and he does tell her to go at 100%. Now, everyone hearing that this girl is holding back her power do actually feel a bit more intrigued. And then there is her somewhat trying not to freak out, before Midoriya does actually step up. "Mr. Aizawa, I don't think that's a good idea." Really? Momo then actually stepping up too, and reassuring him. He's telling the truth. They've seen her use her unique quirk. So they know. Yeah, Todoroki says. Her quirk is very extreme. If she uses it the way she has before, she might end up hurting somebody. Especially, yeah, on UA grounds, she would destroy something. Most likely, her arm again. Aizawa actually somewhat intrigued. So, this girl's already come far enough with her training to begin to start mastering the quirk. Now, she does throw the ball at 5%. And surprise, surprise, it does get a good, decent score. Now, I'm doing that last because I forgot to include it in the beginning. Now then, with all of that, Mineta, he is informed that he has scored the lowest on the list. And that quite simply, he does know what that means. Do you really think he's going to kick him out? Denki says. I'm saying that no, most likely not. In fact, she's fairly certain that that was a ruse. Huh? Well, didn't everyone? A few students announcing, no, they didn't. They thought he was serious. Before they do watch, Aizawa break the news to Mineta. Mineta basically running off towards the locker room, screaming that he knew he shouldn't have tried to become a hero. This place is freaky. Now, Momo, she then actually does seem a bit more frightened. He was serious. Now, with all that being said, I do believe that I can leave this video off of here. And I do hope you guys enjoyed. And have an amazing night. I'll catch you guys in the next part.